For today's video, a buddy was asking about some of the hardware and process that I use to collect files and data from older drives. Um, so I posted on Twitter about some pictures that I was trying to recover from my wife's old college hard drive, and that stirred up some conversations. So this week, the test subject is a very loud 80 gig hard drive from a legacy Dell computer. And yes, 80 gigs, which is kind of huge back in the early 2000s. It's never going to fill that thing up, right? That's what they said. And due to its age, it is indeed an IDE interface. As far as tools for the hardware side, I have a handful of different USB interfaces, like this one, for instance. It's a USB 2.0 to IDE or SATA. It's got both a 3.5-inch drive connector and a 2.5-inch drive interface for desktop and laptop, and also a SATA port on the end. To power the drive, it does come with an external power brick that does utilize that 4-pin Molex needed to usually power these drives. It also comes with an adapter that converts that Molex to SATA to be able to use that type of connection. Now the LEDs on here, pretty simple. You've got statuses, so IDE up here, and then a light for the USB port working, and if you're using SATA instead, that will light up there. Fairly basic overall, and it works in most cases for mounting drives. Native for Windows, Linux, and Mac as far as drivers go, nothing really special needed there. Sadly for my recovery purposes, Windows and Mac kept both telling me there was no partition, with Windows going as far to tell me it was just raw data. Both just wanted me really to format, and that would have left me in a much worse position because I know there's something on here that I really want. I wasn't ready to give up, so we'll circle back to how we pulled this off. Next in my list of things, I have this fairly simple USB 3.0 blue to SATA adapter with power built in. And it looks to work as basically as expected, with these little holes kind of across these area right here for LEDs. One lights up for power and the other one will light up for data. I have this little adapter for most things, but I also have this little guy. It is an IDE connector for laptop, similar to the other adapter, but this also plugs right into my SATA connector. Very simple, just like this. And I use this particularly for an older drive that I needed to pull some data off of. It was a laptop drive, and I was having issues with the other connector. And so my goal was to image that drive and convert it actually to SSD. It came out of a car's media console, the center console of an entertainment infotainment system. And so using this combination, I was able to dump the drive image and convert from an IDE spinning platter drive to an IDE SSD, thus causing the car to actually boot up quicker in its infotainment console. So enough of that. Next is a similar adapter that actually is something called micro SATA. This is for, instead of 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives, this is for 1.8-inch drives. Anybody ever heard of this? Apparently there are tiny drives that use tiny SATA connectors. Pretty cool overall. So enough of those. Last is going to be the really big beast device. So I'll bring this in over here. And this is what actually helped me recover all of the data off of this drive. This is the Forensic UltraDoc, aka FUD, F-U-D. And this is version 5. It's made by Crew, I guess C-R-U, and they're actually famous for their mouse jiggler. You know, the thing that moves the computer mouse so that it doesn't enter a screensaver and lock up and potentially bring you back to a password prompt. They also make this really cool thing called a hot plug, which allows you to remove a computer from the wall and transfer it to a UPS battery without shutting down. I actually saw it once at DEF CON in action during a competition. So this makes use of all of the previous types of adapters, and it's got all kinds of different interfaces, including FireWire, eSATA, IDE, and then regular SATA, and then finally power adapters. If anything, this makes those other ones look like babies first, data recovery. It's actually used for what it says, forensics. This forensics tool is a write blocker. Since I'm only planning on reading the data off this 80 gig hard drive, this is a perfect for what I'm trying to do here, especially since the basic IDE adapter was able to show the drive, over here with this one, but there appeared to be an issue with the partition. As I mentioned, it was only identifying it as raw. And it has every possible connector I could need, and what's interesting is it also uses a separate power brick also. So real quickly, we'll show what it looks like to hook it up. So it comes with this power connector, and again, there's that 4-pin Molex. So this plugs in right onto the back. And then the next is we take our IDE ribbon. All right, it's been a while since anybody's seen one of these. So if I connect this to the drive, and we'll connect this to the back of the device, plug it in there. All right. And then we'll go ahead and apply some power down here. We're all set to begin using our UltraDoc. So to begin, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and apply power to the device. So power it on. And now that this is on, it goes ahead and powers up the drive, and you can hear it. Very loud. So now that we have this, it's very simple. We can go ahead and use the HPA that's found, and immediately it starts being able to identify drive information. I'm not going to go as far to hook this up to the computer right now. It's as simple as using the USB 3 port on the front, and it immediately mounts right away and makes it readable. All right, enough of that. I got this thing as part of my SANS 408 Windows Forensics class, which I ended up taking and passing my GCFE after. I didn't have too much for tools besides a lot of this hardware. It actually mounted the drive right away, like I mentioned, in my Mac, and I was able to copy the files that I wanted off to a thumb drive for safekeeping, of course, no longer on this. My wife is super pleased to see old embarrassing photos from back in the day, and I'm glad I got to share some of these cool tools, especially this forensic UltraDoc device. Well, that's all I have for today. Drop me a line on Twitter or down in the comments below if you want to see more videos like this. I enjoy sharing fun things that I'm working on. Other than that, enjoy and have a good one. Thank you.